If a fragrance has been around since the 1970s, 80s, or 90s, can it still be red hot for warm weather wear, or has it totally been burned away? Let's find out by testing 9 iconic retro warm and hot weather fragrances. If you prefer something less seasonal, we've previously discussed the best and worst 80s and 90s fragrances here. Retro fragrances tend to offer great value because they are literally time-tested, but don't have the markups of the latest, newest, and trendiest fragrances. A quick note, we're testing modern iterations of these fragrances that have usually been reformulated, sometimes several times, from their initial launch, as these are the formulations currently available in stores. With all that out of the way, let's get started on our retro hot weather fragrance hot or not list, Eau de Cologne Hermès. Now this is our oldest fragrance, and it's the only one on the list from the 1970s. Now, this is released in its iconic green bottle in 1979 as Eau de Cologne Hermès, originally developed by François Caron. It was rebranded in 1997 as Eau d'Orange Verte and reformulated in 2009 by Jean-Claude Ellena. Its current iteration is a raw, vibrant, and fresh citrine fragrance, combining initial notes of bold orange with mint that cleanly transitions into a mossy base, resulting in a dry, invigorating, and woody sensation. A 3.4-ounce flacon currently retails for $144. Now when smelling this, the citrus orange is probably the most prominent scent to me. Now, the only real drastic development I noticed in this fragrance was the depth to the orange as I continued to smell, and some of the moss elements started to come through. I didn't feel it harmonized completely with me and my personal smell, but it's a very bold scent, and it does harmonize on a certain level in a crisp and bright way during the day. To me, this is definitely a warm weather fragrance. The longevity appears quite bold at first when initially applied, and it begins to subtly fade throughout the day. Personally, I would wear this fragrance for a lunch out with friends. I enjoy the bold citrus elements of this fragrance, but I don't think I'd wear this fragrance very often. Tuscany per Uomo by Aramis. Rather like the Bold Musketeer, after whom its brand is named, Tuscany per Uomo by Aramis is a very traditionally masculine and warm weather fragrance, inspired by the citrine and aromatic scents of the Italian region by which it's named. Prominent top notes of citrines like lemon, bergamot, and lime are tempered by floral lavender, before descending to more herbaceous middle notes of anise, caraway, and tarragon, tinged with orange blossom. Now, the base notes are very typical of men's fragrances, consisting of a blend of oak moss, basic patchouli, sandalwood, cinnamon, and tonka bean, with a distinct leather typical of Aramis products. A 3.4-ounce flacon is $74 directly from S.r.l. Lemon, lavender, and orange are the most prominent notes to me in this scent. As the fragrance matured, I started to notice a bit of spice coming through, perhaps from the cinnamon. Personally, I felt that this fragrance harmonized pretty well with my natural scent. I find this fragrance to be a warm weather and transitional fragrance. The longevity of this fragrance is low, but good for a few hours wear while leaving a nice lasting scent. I would wear this fragrance out for coffee or even a business casual dinner. I personally like this scent and would probably recommend it to others. Cool Water by Davidoff. Cool Water was designed by Pierre Bourbon, and it made quite the splash when it was released in 1988. Thanks to a massive advertising campaign, this fragrance was ubiquitous in the 90s and still remains quite popular today. A surprising variety of different scents combine to create a fresh fragrance evocative of the ocean. Top notes include a very prominent burst of seawater with mint, lavender, coriander, rosemary, and assorted green notes. This opening is somewhat reminiscent of Creed's Green Irish Tweed, but these fragrances develop in very different ways. Middle notes include sharp neroli, jasmine, and geranium with mellow sandalwood, and base notes of traditionally masculine cedarwood, musk, amber, and tobacco, available from a number of retailers. Cool Water is available for about $40 for 3.4 ounces. We've reviewed Cool Water before and found it to be a very versatile and unique summer fragrance. Here's what I think now. I found that mint, rosemary, and sandalwood happen to be the most prominent scents to me when smelling this fragrance. I really didn't notice much of a shift in the maturity of the scent the more I continued to smell it. I felt it harmonized a little bit with me and my natural scent, but nothing as well as some of the other scents on this list. I found this to be more of a hybrid scent, something you could wear in hot or warm weather climates. I found the longevity on this scent to be low, but something that did give a nice effect for a few hours wear. I would feel comfortable wearing this fragrance pretty much any time, especially for casual or even business casual settings. I definitely like this fragrance, and I can understand why it's quite popular. Eternity for Men by Calvin Klein. We've previously reviewed this fragrance as well. And while not quite as famous as Obsession, also by Calvin Klein, Eternity for Men, developed by Carlos Benem, took the 90s by storm, thanks to its unique aromatic fougere components. It opens very similarly to Tuscany by Hermès, with top notes including lavender, mandarin orange, bergamot, and lemon, but its middle notes take a sharper turn with coriander, juniper berries, basil, sage, with potent florals like lily, orange blossom, jasmine, lily of the valley, and geranium. At the base, we have the usual suspects: sandalwood, musk, amber, and vetiver, but with the unexpected introduction of Brazilian rosewood. This fragrance is available directly from Calvin Klein for $109 for a 100 milliliter flacon. I previously found this fragrance clean and unobjectionable, like a neighborhood barbershop. Here's what I think now. I found the orange, lavender, and lemon to initially be the most prominent scents in this fragrance. As the fragrance matures, the sandalwood and musk start to become more noticeable. I feel this fragrance does start to harmonize with my natural scent in a soft and subtle way over time. I believe this is a great warm weather fragrance. I believe the longevity is decent for an average day's wear. I would wear this fragrance for an evening out, perhaps even a casual walk around town. I definitely enjoy and would recommend this scent. JF by Floris. Floris is one of the hottest fragrance houses right now, and it was no different in 1992 when this woody aromatic scent was launched. Exotic citrines dominate the top notes, including bergamot, Amalfi lemon, mandarin orange, and lime, with a coarse introduction of clary sage, coriander, and even wormwood. The green fairy is not included. Middle notes are warm and fresh, including cypress, petitgrain, jasmine, and juniper berries, and earthy base notes of musk, oak moss, Virginia cedar, and ambergris. According to Floris, this fragrance is elegant, fresh, and effortlessly British. Pip pip. Lemon, lime, and orange tended to be the more prominent notes that I noticed in this fragrance initially. As this fragrance matures, the warmth of jasmine and oak moss started to come through. I feel this fragrance harmonized well with my natural scent, with its bright citrus notes and woody base. I feel this fragrance is a great warm to transitional scent. I feel this fragrance lasts for a few hours, may be great for a particular event, but maybe not something I would expect to last all day long. I could see myself wearing this fragrance out for a brunch or even a casual meeting. I definitely like this scent. Nautica by Nautica. No, you did not just step into a mid-90s high school. We're just about to cover the self-named fragrance from Nautica, immensely popular thanks to its attainable price point in 1992. The original Nautica spawned two successors, Nautica Voyage and Nautica Blue. Nautica Classic is a woody chypre fragrance that leans heavily into botanicals. Top notes include a veritable orchard of aldehydes: lime, lemon, bergamot, neroli, cypress, tarragon, clary sage, coriander, and cinnamon, followed by a flower garden of jasmine, rose, cyclamen, geranium, and caraway, and a final stand of sandalwood, cedar, oak moss, patchouli, amber, and musk for base notes. It is available from several retailers for about $20 for a 3.4 ounce flacon. I initially noticed the cypress, bergamot, and lemon the most. As I continued to smell, the fragrance did start to mature. It softened from something very nautical to a very clean, crisp, and almost relaxing scent. I felt it harmonized with my scent very well, with the spice of cinnamon, floral notes, and woody base notes. I find this is a great transitional into hot weather fragrance. Longevity on this scent was decent, but maybe not ideal for heavy strength if you're expecting to wear this all day long. I feel comfortable wearing this scent pretty much any time during the summer when out casually. I do like this scent. Blue Jeans by Versace. While on the subject of popular 90s fragrances, let's consider Blue Jeans by Versace. Are these really as versatile as your favorite pair of denim? An aromatic fougere, Blue Jeans was developed by Jean-Pierre Bethouart, and it was launched in 1994. It has a range of natural top notes, including bergamot, juniper, anise, Brazilian rosewood, and basil, which quickly dried down to floral middle notes of lavender, rose, carnation, heliotrope, jasmine, geranium, and lily of the valley, as well as sage and fir, before a sweet and conventional finish, with base notes of vanilla, tonka bean, sandalwood, amber, cedar, patchouli, and vetiver, with an unexpected kick of iris. Versace markets this fragrance as a classic that, like a good pair of jeans, won't let you down. It is available from several retailers for about $30 for 3.4 ounces, and comes in one of the more interesting cases and flacons that we're discussing today. I found vanilla to be one of the more prominent notes in this fragrance. I noticed an increase in sweetness and overall floral notes as the fragrance started to mature. I do not feel like this fragrance harmonized very well with my scent. This fragrance is best worn in hot weather. Longevity is decent, but not long-lasting. I don't feel like I'd wear this fragrance in any setting, and I really don't like this fragrance. Millésime Imperial by Creed. Fragrances by Creed are some of the most sought after in the menswear sphere today, and it was no different in 1995 when Oliver Creed and Pierre Bourbon debuted Millésime Imperial, which was launched to mark the house's 150th anniversary and highlight Creed's historic place in the imperial courts of Europe. This complicated fragrance blends marine accords with floral, citrine, and woody notes for a sparkling, fresh sensation. This is difficult to find in other fragrances. Top notes include bergamot, blackcurrant, and violet leaves, with middle notes including orris and marine accords, before finishing with a base of cedarwood, musk, and sandalwood. Described as warm and romantic, Millésime Imperial is intended to conjure up the seaside of sunny Sicily. A 100 milliliter flacon will set you back $470, and this fragrance is by far the most expensive on today's list. At that price, I could hop on a Ryanair jet to Palermo myself. We previously ranked over $4,000 of Creed fragrances, and this fragrance snagged third place. How does it stack up today? We found the notes in this fragrance to be herby, floral, citrus-based, and light, but almost borderline too light. Now, as this is a blended scent, there isn't one strong note that dominates. As for how the fragrance matures, this ties into our biggest criticism. Despite being an eau de parfum, it doesn't last very long, even though our team feels it could be a great daytime scent for warmer seasons. For those who want something fresh and light, no matter the occasion, season, or time of day, making this a very approachable, elegant, and potentially unisex fragrance. All that to say, I like it, for the relatively brief amount of time that I can smell it. Burberry Weekend for Men. 3 years before Y2K, Mikkel Elmerick developed Weekend for Men by Burberry, known for its light, clean, and citrine opening. It descends into warmer elements as the fragrance develops. Top notes consist of prominent fruity aromas like lemon, grapefruit, bergamot, pineapple, mandarin orange, and melon, with woodier middle notes of ivy, oak moss, and sandalwood, and warming base notes of honey, musk, and amber. This fragrance features a definite radical transformation as it progresses. Burberry Weekend is available from several retailers for about $40 for a 100 milliliter flacon. Lemon, grapefruit, orange, and amber were the notes that stood out the most to me in this fragrance. Personally, I didn't notice a big transition as the fragrance matured. I do think that this fragrance harmonized well with my natural scent. I found this fragrance to be a great transitional scent that could be worn in both hot and warm weather. I found this fragrance to be subtle, something that lasts maybe for a few hours, but not necessarily the strongest scent, and it's probably not going to last you all day long. I could find myself wearing this pretty often in a daytime and casual setting, and I definitely like this scent and can see myself recommending this to others as well. So how do these fragrances stack up? First, I'll give you my pick and a runner-up for several categories. Then I'll list my preferences for these fragrances. My personal favorite and top contender was Tuscany, with the runner-up being Burberry Weekend. When it comes to best value, my pick was Nautica by Nautica. When it comes to the best scent for warm weather, I chose Eau de Cologne by Hermès. The best scent in my opinion for hot weather was Cool Water by Davidoff. The best transitional scent, in my opinion, was Eternity by Calvin Klein. I also chose Eternity by Calvin Klein as the best daytime scent. The best scent for evening, I chose JF by Floris. For work, I chose Burberry Weekend. For social outings, I chose Eternity by Calvin Klein. And in my opinion, the best to avoid, or the worst, was Versace Blue Jeans. Now, in ranking these fragrances from best to worst, number 1 for me was Tuscany. Number 2, Eternity. Number 3, Eau de Cologne Hermès. Number 4 was Burberry. Number 5, JF Floris. Number 6 was Nautica. Number 7 was Cool Water. Number 8 was Millésime Imperial. And number 9 was Blue Jeans by Versace. So, how does my list compare to yours? Let us know in the comments. We'd also love to hear from viewers who wore these fragrances back in the day. Please share some insight on how these fragrances might have changed. You can also let us know if we've missed some of your favorites as I run down today's outfit. So today I'm wearing a striped blue blazer that has elements of light blue and gold in the stripes, with a tan shirt, a burgundy and blue pocket square, with off-white kind of cream-colored jeans, brown dress shoes, and of course, 4 Belvedere socks with blue and burgundy stripes. And for the fragrance, I can't forget Roberto Ugolini High Heel White. Now for accessories like these amazing socks that I'm wearing and some other incredible things that you can find to build your outfits out in a really amazing way, check out the Fort Belvedere shop here.